What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. And today's video, you can see right there in the title below me, is all about Dricus versus Sean Strickland. This is a fight that I am looking forward to. I will say, in full disclosure, I was hoping it was going to be Khamzat versus DDP. That would have been the most exciting fight potentially of my entire life because I'm such a Khamzat fan, and this would have finally been his first title shot, which we've been waiting for since 2020, but it is what it is. We have the rematch, and the first fight was great, so I am excited for Dricus versus Sean Strickland. And I want to give my thoughts, my initial prediction, and obviously we're going to have Justin weigh in at a later time. But let me give you my thoughts first. Justin's opinion will probably be the more valid one, I assume, but let me put my 2 cents in, and you guys let me know if you agree or disagree. So I actually used to say that I thought Strickland was going to beat DDP. I've now changed my mind. I actually think DDP is going to have the advantage in this fight. And I want to talk about why. There are 2 particular reasons. So last weekend, when we were commentating for the Fusion Fight League, I got to sit down with some coaches for the fighters that were fighting in that fight. And I also got to sit down with one of the fighters who has trained at Extreme Couture before. So one of the things, this was my original premise. I originally felt, and by the way, this fight could go in Sean's direction. Obviously, it's MMA. We don't know. But my original general premise was when you have one opponent that looks as though they have the cleaner technique overall, the other opponent's doing great. And I'm talking about DDP, obviously, with this very unorthodox style, his footwork that appears a little bit clumsy, etc. When I look at the two, I've got to generally go with the with the striker, with the grappler, whatever it may be, that has the stronger technique in terms of what is traditionally taught. So I look at Sean Strickland's footwork, I look at his jab, I look at his kicks, I look at his punches, and I feel like he's got the cleaner technique. So that initially led me down the path that he's going to have the advantage. But my mind was actually changed. So one of the reasons why it changed was because of this dinner that we had and the discussion that we had. One of the coaches mentioned to me, well, he's picking DDP, and this is what changed my mind. The problem with fighting somebody like DDP, who is awkward, who is unorthodox, who's different, is how do you train for that? Meaning, how do you choose sparring partners that can mimic that style and that movement? Is very difficult. Same with very unorthodox fighters like even MVP or other fighters that look different. Case in point, Jiri Prochazka. Now we're going to come back to that in a second. But anyways, so that point was made, and it really got me thinking. So I said, okay, that is true. It's going to be much tougher for Sean to train for DDP in that style than vice versa. The second reason, coming back to Jiri Prochazka, is seeing that fight against Jamal Hill. For the same reason, I was hoping Jiri won. I'd picked Jiri more with my heart than with my mind, but I was very worried that Jamal Hill was going to get the job done again because of the cleaner overall technique. And I thought that was I was afraid that was going to win out in the fight against Jiri. Instead, the opposite happened. And instead, Jiri added in definitely new elements of his game. Maybe that threw off Jamal Hill. I don't know. But with that head movement, had his hands up sometimes, but he was being more defensive as a fighter. But the bottom line is, I think it was very difficult for Jamal Hill to land on Jiri because it was so unorthodox. He started landing at one point. That was also after an eye poke. So I'm just saying that could have been part of the problem. That could have been part of the problem for Jiri. And maybe if that eye poke hadn't happened and his vision hadn't been compromised, it would have just been a clean sweep. I'm just throwing that out there. But anyways, that has now led me to believe that I actually think Dricus is going to get this job done. Of course, Justin trains with Sean. I imagine he's going to have a different opinion and a different perspective. But that's my 2 cents. So I'm switching it up. Hate to say it, but I think Dricus is going to get it done. And then on top of it, you add in all the other elements. You add in his very well-rounded game, his diehard attitude, his work ethic. I mean, he just will not give up. So I do feel like that all adds to the equation. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you that really fortifies my opinion is Robert Whittaker, who appeared on Ariel Helwani's show. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. Man, he is just the best in terms of fight analysis. I feel like he nails it every time. He's so intelligent and articulate, and he thinks things through very carefully. So I really trust him. So when I heard this, that kind of set it pretty firmly for me. So we're going to listen to what Robert Whittaker had to say. Let's check it out right now.
Do you think DDP beats Sean next month again?
I do.
I do. Like, I've seen those things where Sean's like, let's stand and fight like men.
Yeah.
Dricus is going to take him straight down. Like, that's the sport. That's what I'd do.
Right.
You know, it's yeah, it's.
By the way, this kind of implies that Sean wouldn't be able to stop the takedowns. People have said, Justin has told me this time and again, that Sean actually has great wrestling. He likely has great takedown defense. So I don't know if it's going to be as easy as Robert Whittaker is making it out to seem. And I don't think people really know how difficult it is unless you are in Extreme Couture and training with Sean. So I don't know if it's going to be as simple as he's just going to take him straight down. I doubt it's going to be like that. But anyways, let's keep hearing Robert. I get how you can make that conclusion based on Sean's previous fights, that he likes to keep it standing. But I think, I don't know about that element, but let's keep listening.
It's good. It's good. I'm excited to see it, but I don't. My biggest thing with that matchup was just, what can Sean do differently to change the outcome last time? So he was the champion, and he still got it. Granted, controversial, but he lost a decision fight as a champion, and now they're going back in the same sort of matchup pairing, but he's not the champion now. And what can he do differently? Sean fights like Sean fights. You know, I don't think we're going to see him fight much differently than with the way we saw him fight last time. Granted, it's a very effective fight style, but I don't know. He just barely lost the last one, and he was champion. And now, I don't know. I think Dricus has gotten better, if anything.
Yep.
Makes very good points. And I think what he's also saying there, when he mentions this idea of Sean was champion at that time, and now he's not, meaning I believe he's talking about the psychological edge, what people have referred to as, hey, you get 30% or 20% or 50% better as the champ, whatever that percentage may be. And now he's coming in from the challenger position. Of course, that can vary from person to person and fighter to fighter. Maybe coming in as the challenger with a chip on his shoulder will make him fight more effectively. I don't know. But I think the second point was more important, that he feels Sean essentially fights in the same way every time, whereas he believes that Dricus likely has improved and will come with added elements to his game. That's a fair point. And I think Robert Whittaker is in the position to speak correctly on this and in an informative way. So I really trust his opinion. So that's it. We'll see what Justin thinks. I'd love to get his thoughts on the channel. And if he does disagree, I'm sure he will explain why. And you guys can decide for yourselves. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you excited for this fight? Are you not? Did you also wish it was Hamzat? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.